We're now on page 30 of your working file, the subject of duplicate and distribute. Now we're going to do 4 lessons on this page. First of all, we're going to discuss duplication. Then we're going to look at the subject of distribution. That's the even distancing of objects. Then we're going to put together this amplifier. And finally, we're going to do the business card. So let's start with duplicate. Well, I'm going to look at plus first of all. Now I've used this many times, as you know. Plus on my keyboard, and it creates a duplicate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I tapped 4, and so I can create 4 duplicates, and they're all perfectly aligned on top of each other. Now, as I've said to you before, if you don't have plus because you are using a laptop, then of course you can use Control C. So copy, Control C, and then Control V, paste back down. Control C, Control V, and that's created a duplicate in the same way. Moving along, this is an interesting one. If I select an object and I move the object and then tap my space bar while holding down my left mouse button, I've created a duplicate. And the nice thing about this is you've got control of where the duplicate is going to be placed, which is quite handy. Always remember that you don't need to tap it for your last time, just just release your mouse button because you've got a duplicate you're hanging on to. Have a play with that one, it's quite good. This is an interesting one, and again the advantage here is that you can left click and drag. Now right click your mouse and see the little plus appears next to the arrow. If I release, I've created a duplicate. I'll let go of that. Now I'll do that again. Right click. Now if I let go, I'll have a duplicate. However, if I right click again, the plus will now be gone. So no longer do I have a duplicate, but I'm just moving the original. When I let go, I've moved my original from there to there because I didn't duplicate it. So one more time, left click, right click, release, create a duplicate, or right click to create a duplicate, change your mind, release, and all you've done is move your object. And the last one, Control D, which is where I'll spend a bit more time because you will use this quite a lot, particularly with your amplifier. Control D is create a duplicate. However, it has some parameters that will always be applied. Those parameters, first of all, exist up here on the property bar, duplicate distance. And right now, we've got 5 millimeters on the X and 5 on the Y. This is not my first time for using Control D, but for you it may be. So if you do, when you select an object and go Control D, you might find a dialog box will come up now asking you what is the offset distance that you want to set. Just set it to 5 and 5, or it may already be there, and click OK. Once you've done it once, it won't come up again. Now as you can see, based on the parameters up here in the property bar, the duplicate is 5 millimeters along in the X and 5 millimeters up in the Y. We can change that. Let's change this to, say, 15. So it'll move along 15 and up 5. Select and Control D. So it's moved along and up. Let me just exaggerate that a little bit more for you. Deselect. You can't have anything selected to see it on the property bar. Let's go with, say, 25 and 10. Select and Control D. So it's moved along 25 and up 10. So that gives you the ability to accurately say where you want your duplicate to go. We can take this further because Control D and the whole offset distance thing, well, you can kind of customize this on the fly. I'll show you how. If I create a duplicate by using, say, plus or one of these other ones, in fact, I'll use this one here. So I'll click and drag my mouse and I'll move this down just to there, right click to create a duplicate and release. Now here's what's important. Do not deselect. While that duplicate is selected, the offset distance that I customized on the fly then, Control D will remember it. So if I go Control D now, see it duplicates that customized distance. Let me show you again. This time I'll use plus on my keyboard, and I'll move that up there. Control D, and it will reproduce that duplicate distance. Make sense? Well, we can take this a little bit further. I'm going to plus on my keyboard, move that over a little bit, And I'm going to, in fact, I'll just move it to there. I'm going to rotate this time, and I'm going to rotate by 15 degrees. So click finger on Control to constrain to 15-degree increments. See 15. Do not deselect. Now, Control D. Control D. Watch it. And every duplicate is rotating by 15 degrees. See that? 15, 30, 45, and so on. So I'm rotating my objects by 15 degrees. Let's take this even further now. Plus on my keyboard. I'll just move that over there. So I'll just pop that to, say, there. Now this time I'm going to rotate the other way 15 degrees, but I'm also going to shrink down the size. I shrink down by 20%. So I'll make this one 80. Okay, so that's my 100%, that's 80%. What do you think the duplicate will be? So Control D. See how it's moved in the same direction? It's rotated 15 degrees. It's also decreased by a further 20%, and so on. Isn't that cool? Now watch this as I keep going. As I keep going past the 0 point, it comes back out the other side and starts to increase. But look, it's the reverse. It's actually going in the reverse direction, and the rotation point is in the reverse direction. So it's a rather interesting looking effect. I won't go into all the reasons why. I just want to show it to you. So isn't that kind of cool, the way Control D works? Now we're going to use that principle as we create all those little spaces and sizings there between for our card as we go on. So what I want you to do now is to go ahead and have a play with everything you've seen me do, all of these Control Ds and pluses and using your mouse and spacebar, etc. Come back, we're going to look at distribution, the evenly spacing of objects, and then we're going to do the amplifier.